Ladies and gentlemen, welcome on back. In this one today, we're going to be ranking the top 10 worst Mega Gobblegums in COD Zombies. No special criteria for this video. It's going to be my personal opinion. So with all that out of the way with, let's get right into it. Coming into our number 10 spot, we have Mind Blown. This Gobblegum is very forgotten about when it comes to COD Zombies in general. Not many people use this Gobblegum because it doesn't serve much of a purpose to begin with. You have a few activations, and all it does is kill the zombies that are in front of you. It is useful, especially compared to a lot of other Gobblegums that we're going to talk about on this list. But compared to the majority of Mega Gobblegums, even some of the classics, I just don't think it's that good. It is mainly used as an offensive Gobblegum to kill the zombies, but with Black Ops 3, you have super powerful guns that can get alternate ammo type abilities. So using a Gobblegum, especially one that you have to pay money for to accomplish that, doesn't make much sense. So for that, we're gonna have to put this Gobblegum at our number 10 spot. Moving into our number 9 spot, we have Slaughter Slide, another Gobblegum like Mind Blown, where its main focus is to kill zombies. Now, like I said before, these types of Gobblegums aren't that great in general because in Black Ops 3, it just doesn't make sense to use a Gobblegum to kill zombies when you can use alternate ammo types instead. I'm putting Slaughter Slide below Mind Blown as well because it is much harder to use. With Mind Blown, all you have to do is press a button and then all the zombies in front of you are dead. But with Slaughter Slide, you have to slide in order to activate this Gobblegum, which not only makes it harder to control, but just isn't as effective when it comes to killing zombies. With Mind Blown, you have the possibility to kill a full horde of 24 very easily, but it's much harder to do that with a Gobblegum like Slaughter Slide. So for that reason, we have to put this Gobblegum at our number 9 spot. Next up, at our number 8 spot, we have Secret Shopper. This Gobblegum is going to be the first and only ultra rare Mega Gobblegum that we have on this list. Now, compared to other Gobblegums that we have on this list, even some of the ones that we've talked about so far, I'd argue that Secret Shopper is one of the better ones. The problem is that once you start comparing it to other Mega Gobblegums in the game, in terms of getting ammo at least, it falls flat on its face. Secret Shopper, on paper, sounds like a really good Gobblegum because you can buy more ammo for all your weapons using existing wall weapon locations. The problem, however, is that you can't buy more ammo for wonder weapons, making this Gobblegum completely useless. You have so many better options to get ammo in this game, like Catchback, Raindrops, Alchemical, even other Gobblegums to help you get more guns like Immolation Liquidation. Secret Shopper is a good Gobblegum, it just gets outshined by so many others. So for that, we're gonna have to put it at the number 8 spot. Coming into our number 7 spot, we have Respin Cycle. This Gobblegum once again sounds really good on paper. You get to respin the box, which saves 950 points and gets you a different weapon. The problem is that you only get to do this twice, and there are better options for getting more spins in the game, like using Immolation. With that one Gobblegum, you can get 12 box spins for 120 points. Doing a bit of math, that means you save 11,280 points for 12 box spins. Respin Cycle gives you 4 spins on the box for 1,900 points, saving you 1,900 points. Not only do you get less spins, but you also don't save as many points. And both of these Gobblegums are the same rarity. So why would you ever use Respin Cycle when Immolation is a much better option? This Gobblegum isn't higher up on the list because unfortunately there are Gobblegums that are worse. Compared to the classics, I think Respin Cycle is better than most of them, but compared to other Mega Gobblegums, it is one of the worst. So for that, we're gonna have to put it at our number 7 spot. Moving into our number 6 spot, we have Unbearable. Now, the Gobblegums that we've talked about previously on this list are usable to some extent. Even though they aren't the best, they provide some value. Unbearable is useless for 99% of players. This Gobblegum makes it to where the teddy bear effect on the box, once you spin it too many times, is nullified, and the box doesn't move. This Gobblegum doesn't save you any points or give you any weapons. All it does is save a bit of time before you eventually have to move again. What I wish this Gobblegum did instead was give the player a chance to keep the box in a permanent location on the map, similar to what Leroy did on Buried. There are a lot of bad box locations in Black Ops 3, and I think it would be a much better option than what we currently have. Because as it stands, this is one of the worst Gobblegums in the game and is deserving of the number 6 spot. Next up, coming into our top 5, at our number 5 spot, we have Burned Out. This Gobblegum was one of the worst megas that came out during the game's launch, and is still one of the worst Gobblegums that we have today. All it does is kill the zombies every time they attack you, which sounds good, but then once you actually use it, you realize that it's really hard to control when you want this Gobblegum to go off. If you are in a situation where there are a ton of zombies around you and you need a quick way to kill them, then this is a great Gobblegum because it will give you that protection. But most of the time, the reason that this Gobblegum activates is when one zombie sneaks up behind you and gets a lucky swing. You end up killing one zombie and wasting the entire Gobblegum. Mind Blown and Slaughter Slide are at least somewhat useful because you have control of when you want to use them, but Burned Out has zero control factor, making it the worst Gobblegum for killing zombies. So for that, we're gonna have to put it at the number 5 spot. Coming into our number 4 spot, we have Crawl Space. This Gobblegum is the worst Gobblegum that you can use on every single map, except Drak for one step. All it does is turn all the zombies around you into crawlers, which sounds and is completely useless, unless of course you're building the Void Bow, which is when it's somewhat useful. It doesn't kill the zombies, it doesn't give you any points or guns, or change up the gameplay in any way. All it does is make crawlers, which can actually be detrimental because crawlers when training can be more annoying to deal with than normal zombies. And the one useful feature of this gum on Drak doesn't justify using it, and that is because 1, nobody builds the Void Bow, and 2, even if you are going to build the Void Bow, you can just use grenades instead to get the crawlers. Even if this Gobblegum was a classic, I wouldn't consider using it, so for that I have to put it at the number 4 spot. Moving up next into our number 3 spot, we have Licensed Contractor. This Gobblegum for the longest time was considered to be the worst out of all the Gobblegums. All it does is make the zombies move slower, but not in a good way like with Undead Man Walking. In addition to making the game slower, it also gives you 600 points, which is the only redeeming factor to this Gobblegum. In Black Ops 4, this Gobblegum got a buff when put in elixir form, because in Black Ops 4, Carpenter drops actually repair your shield, which is a very useful item in that game, but in Black Ops 3, it doesn't have the ability, making it one of the worst Gobblegums to use. If it was a classic, I think it would be perfectly balanced as it provides a way for free-to-play players to get extra points in-game while also having to sacrifice the speed at which the zombies enter the map. If it didn't give you any points, it would be the worst Gobblegum of all time, but since it does give you a fair amount of points, I have to put it at the number 3 spot. Next up, coming into our number 2 spot, we have Bored to Death. Zombie Chronicles released some of the worst and best Gobblegums of all time, and Bored to Death is one of the worst. The reason Treyarch released this Gobblegum and the next one that we're going to talk about was because in the old games, it was a common strategy to rebuild the barriers on the map, especially with a map like Nocturne and Toten. But over time, players realized that rebuilding the barriers is not a good idea because you can't get any drops from killing zombies unless they enter the map. Using this Gobblegum is completely useless because you won't get any drops from the zombies. It's hard to tell when the zombies will actually die around the barrier, and you have to actually rebuild the barrier, meaning that if you don't wait for the zombies to break them down, or you get a carpenter or play on a map that doesn't have a lot of barriers, this Gobblegum will literally do nothing for you. One of the worst Gobblegums of all time, and I would put it at the number 1 spot if Treyarch didn't add in another Gobblegum around the same time that is just as bad. And coming into our number 1 spot, we have board games. Another Gobblegum that revolves around fixing barricades, which are some of the worst in the game. And this one tops the list for being the worst barrier rebuilding Gobblegum. All it does is repair all the barricades at once you interact with them. It doesn't give you any bonus points. In fact, you might actually lose a bit of points because you don't get the full amount of points if you were to build each barricade one at a time. And similar to Bored to Death, if you pick up a carpenter or you play on a map that doesn't have that many barricades, this Gobblegum is completely useless. It doesn't give you any points like with Licensed Contractor, and it doesn't kill any zombies like with Bored to Death. All it does is slow down the gameplay and encourage players to not let the zombies in the map to collect drops. Horrible Gobblegum compared to the Megas and the Classics. I would have been fine if this Gobblegum was a Whimsical, but as a Gobblegum that you have to pay money for, it is the worst in the game. So for all these reasons, Board Games has to come into our number 1 spot. Anyways guys, it's going to wrap up the video for today. If you did enjoy, leave a like, subscribe, do all that. So leave your comments down below if you want to see me do any other type of content. Check down the description as well for more zombie related videos. And yeah, I got nothing much else to say, so peace.